seem to have some kind of advanced technology and unlimited resources to get things done.
Well, let me tell you this. I would say they are very advanced. And I'm not saying as a race. I'm saying with the technology and so forth. Because Chris had what he calls a couple of super geeks come over and sweep his house. They found two objects that they had never seen before. They said this is highly advanced. These guys are dissecting it as we speak.
Okay.
And I've asked.
So they're like surveillance, like bugs that they found that they've never seen that type of.
He said this is the most advanced stuff they've ever seen. And I asked Chris to line up his friends to come to my house.
Yeah.
And you and I talked about this.
Right.
They were set to line up, and they ran a little check on me through, because these guys are also hackers.
Yeah.
And they said, we're not going to his house because he has got a major communication hub a block or two from his house, and these guys are sitting there watching, listening, looking, anything that Dennis does.
Yeah.
Waiting for me to show up with this object, apparently. And so they don't want to have anything to do with me because they go, they'll see us, they'll follow us, and then we got this, these guys on my tail. So I don't blame them. So I thought about having somebody else sweep the house, as you and I have talked about. But the technology they've got is so advanced that I'm not sure.
Right. The person I told you about told me that that on a scale of 9 to 10, their technology would cover everything up to a 9. But if it's beyond that, and the only thing that's beyond that is nothing physical as far as physical bugs is indetectable, because this is the same equipment that the Defense Department uses. But the only thing that is beyond the capabilities of this particular company that does sweeps is if it's NSA technology, where according to the person I've talked to, that technology, if you have electrical wiring in your house, that's it. That's all they need.
That's an antenna.
It creates a magnetic field, and they can just tune into any magnetic field, the frequency, and either see or hear what's going on. So there's really nobody safe from that.
Right.
There's nothing that they don't have to have a physical bug in your house to do that. So if it's that level of people after you, then I don't know what you can do other than what you're doing now, which is get on the radio and stay in the light of the public eye, so at least there's awareness, and that way maybe they'll somewhat protect you.
Right.
That's one of the reasons why I do this show myself, because I have had and my audience knows about all my stories of things that have happened, but it doesn't seem real until it's happening to you. And I mean, they seem to have advanced technology that pretty much the way I look at it has to be, they have the ability to time travel. Because certain things that I've seen happen, there's no way that could have happened.
Right.
There's no way that I could be driving down the street and there's a car following me. I just passed this car. And in fact, I dropped my son off from school up the street here at J.E. Moss Elementary, and I pull out. There was a carload of Asian folks in front of me, and a little girl gets out looked like kindergarten or first grade, and they watched her all the way to the door, naturally. Of course, my son was older, so he,
jumps out.
He's good. He's going to make it to the door. So I pull on around them to go out, and there's only one way that I'm going. I basically go around the block, and there's no other streets between there where I was going. And you know how you have weird thoughts in your head. So then I just thought, well, and I saw that car pull up behind me. And I thought, well, there's no way they could possibly get in front of me. I just thought that. Next thing I knew, there's the car right in front of me, same people. Because I've been in martial arts for years, I play this little mental game where if I see Asian people, I try to figure out, well, I wonder if they're Korean, Japanese, guy. I try to be able to identify this specific people, because there's subtle differences, and it's stereotypical. I mean, it's general, but it generally holds true. Because there's lots of Japanese that look like Koreans, and Koreans that look like Chinese, or whatever. But in this case, I was 100% sure I even knew the license plate. I just looked at it. I'd just been behind the car sitting still, and sure enough, it was almost just like
out with the 20 guys they had there and following him for several days. He called me. This is a Thursday night. He called me on the following Sunday morning. I was getting ready to go to church, and he left a ladder in my house, and he flipped a step ladder, and said, "Hey, can I come by and get that ladder?" And it was a rainy Sunday morning, and I said, "Yeah, I'm getting ready to leave, but it's here in the back." So, when I got home from church, it was gone, so I knew he'd come there. And I asked him the next day or two. I said, "Hey, do you have anybody follow me?" He says, "Yeah, he's got a car with a Hemi in it." And he said, they were good to about 120 in the rain, and then I lost him. I got pretty good tread on his tires. And I kind of laughed, and I like, "Oh, Chris is having fun with these boys."
Yeah.
Whoever these boys are. So.
I don't know if that's my idea of fun, but we're going to take a break here on Paranormal Nashville at the top of the hour. You're listening to WRFN, Radio Free Nashville, 98.9 FM. We're back in Paranormal Nashville with our guest. You've had some other, you've tried to research this, not just like, just logically trying to figure out what in the heck's going on, but you've tried to go to different sources, some psychics and different people to see if they could give you any kind of clue of what's going on.
Well, several things, like we talked about before, 7.9 million for a rock immediately raises some eyebrows.
Absolutely. It would get my attention.
And I'm thinking as a historic, fact that they're trying to say that it is, because it's Smithsonian Institute that offered him that kind of money. Give me 4 or 5 bags of cement, a little dye and stuff, and I could pretty much make one that, if you didn't know better, behind a piece of plexiglass, you wouldn't know the difference.
Right.
So if they're buying it for that, that ain't the case. There's
My
no way.
father-in-law used to do, and probably still does, replicas for the Smithsonian and other museums. And because a lot of the stuff, they have to keep it under climate control conditions or it will deteriorate faster. So they put the replica, it looks just exactly like the original. I mean,
Right.
you might as well be seeing the original.
And because it's on the other side of a glass or plexiglass box or shelf or wall or something, the thing that always reminds me of Smithsonian Institute, and most people don't know this, they've got 11 big museums if you've ever been to D.C., and some of them are enormous.
Yeah.
At any one time, they only have 2% of their entire collection on display.
Yeah.
2%. I mean, that's like nothing.
So 98% is in storage.
Uh-huh.
And the Ark of the Covenant and all that other crap.
Exactly what I was thinking. Just when you see that in that movie, and they go, and this this enormous cavernous warehouse with whatever they've got there. So whether that's true or not, but 98% is a lot to have not on display. So my feeling is it's not the historic value.
Right. It may just be part of the whole cover-up, which is there's a systematic cover-up of any objects that are more than, obviously 12,000 years is pretty much prehistory. Anything that's that old, they don't want people seeing anything that's any kind of technologically advanced thing,
Right.
That's going back that far, because that would totally blow the paradigm of, we're almost going back to caveman days.
Right.
Basically, our history, even the Chinese only goes, it's only the year, it's not even the year 5,000, I don't think. I think it's still 4,000 and something in Chinese by their counting. So anything that goes back 12,000 years, that just can't be.
Right. Same
Same
with the Hopi.
right, the Hopi Indians.
Yeah, they've got the book of history is the book of
The Book of the Hopi.
Yeah. And so when I first started thinking about this, before